Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors unto our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to the Akim that teaching this word. Shalom Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. So this is a quick article I've got here regarding basically the UK prisons. And what they're saying is that they're running out of space to house some prisoners, basically, you know. So I'm gonna read through this article, and I've got some scriptures, that I have written down. All right. So it says UK prisons run out of space as government asks police to use 400 cells. As government asks police to use 400 cells. Justice Minister Damian Hinds told MPs he had triggered Operation Safeguard after an acute and sudden increase in the prison population. It says prisoners will be held in prison cells for the first time in 14 years, with jails running out of space, the government admitted today. So pretty much they're gonna let pretty much these maniacs. There's no space for these maniacs, to basically be housed, basically. What does that mean in the long run for society? They're going to let these convicts loose, man. So it says, prisoners will be held in police cells for the first time in 14 years with jails running out of space, the government admitted today. Justice Minister Damian Hinds told MPs he had triggered Operation Safeguard after an acute and sudden increase in the prison population meant 400 police cells were needed. He blamed the surge in court cases after a barrister's strike during the summer for fueling the number of offenders sent to prison. With court hearings resuming, so they had a barrister's strike, and that's another thing in this society too. Everyone's striking. You have the tube system, the London Underground, for example. It seems like every weekend they're striking. So everything just getting backed up, and people are leaving these people in positions in these jobs in this society. They're leaving their jobs. They're not happy. Even today I saw something about, the hospital, the nurses, the NHS staff striking. So everyone's striking. So, and this happened a while back. They had the barristers strike. All right. The criminal courts, the lawyers, they had strikes going on. So it says barrister strikes during the summer for fueling the number of offenders sent to prison. With court hearings resuming, we are seeing a surge in offenders coming through the criminal justice system, placing capacity pressure on adult male prisons in particular, he told the Commons. Okay, the triggering of Operation Safeguard is not an unprecedented move. This is an established procedure. I don't know why the phone keeps doing that. It says he blamed the surge in court cases after a barrister's strike during the summer for fueling the numbers of offenders sent to prison. With court hearings resuming, we are seeing a surge in offenders coming through the criminal justice system, placing capacity pressure on adult males in particular, he told the Commons. It says the triggering of Operation Safeguard is not an unprecedented move. This is an established procedure used before to ensure our prison system can operate effectively and safely during periods of high demand. It last happened in 2006, and then in 2007 and 2008. It says he warned that at no point in the last 5 years have we had fewer than 1,000 cells available across the entire prison estate. Labour accused the Tories of slashing prison places over the last decade. Shadow Justice Secretary Steve Reed said this Conservative government has left murderers and rapists to roam our streets because they cut the number of cells that they should be locked up in. So it says, despite reports of rape and sexual offences hitting record highs, the Conservatives cut more than 10,000 prison places since 2010. So this is slowly been happening anyway. They've been letting, these convicts on the loose over the years. But now it's like, because we're at the end, it's like the climax of it. So the Lord's having it where they're having fewer, which we know is set up by the elites, and people in power, but it's the Lord that controls it all. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai that controls it all. So he's going to allow these, allow them to basically, they're not going to have enough space in their prisons, pretty much, is what they're saying now. So that, they're going to pretty much let these lunatics on the loose. So you don't even know who you're even next to outside, man, out here. It could be a raving madman. So it says the Prison Governors Association said previous governments have used public sector prisons as a cash cow for savings, either through savage and deep budget cuts or through the sustained lack of capital investment in the prison estate. We are seeing the consequences of these political decisions now with the announcement that the formal use of police cells will be used to extend the capacity of the prison estate. Yeah, so convicted people that should be in actual prison are going to be put in police cells, but they should be in actual prisons, right? Like it said, like rapists, murderers, they're basically, they don't know where to, they ain't got the space to house that, to put them in the prison. And what's the next step eventually? They're just going to let them loose, man. And we've been saying this for years, like the Mad Max movies, like the I Am Legend, the movies, where, the bandits roam the streets, man. The Purge. Okay? So I'm going to read this here. I mean, there was more to it, but I'm going to read the scriptures here. So it says, Genesis 6:5, it says, and the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And that's the way the world is today. Because the point is, we're living in the end of days, man. The Lord's going to destroy this kingdom. But before he does, wickedness is at its all-time high, man. You've got murderers and convicts just running that are going to be allowed to, well, they're running rampant as it is. But now they're telling you in the news there's not enough even space to be housing them, to be putting them in the prisons. All right? Which a lot of those dudes, should, a lot of them have committed crimes where they should be put to death anyway. But this is the unjustness of this kingdom. But it's the Lord. It's a time of judgment. All right? So it says, and the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. Yeah, because how are people, how are they dealing in this society, man? Everyone just thinks evilly all the time, man. You just got, they're filled with demons, They want to harm, everyone wants to harm each other. That's how this world is, man. All right. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast and creeping thing and the fowls of the air, for it repented me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Yeah, so the Lord is but Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right. So the Lord, delivered Noah and the rest of the people on the planet at the time. He delivered Noah and 8 souls, and the rest of the people on the planet at the time were destroyed. Why? Because they were just, everything that we see today was happening in back then. All right, everything that you can see that's foul and wicked today was happening back in the ancient world. All right, so that's the point on that. So I wanted to get this here. This is Matthew 24:12. Yeah, so pretty much it's chaos. The Lord's gonna allow the chaos to roam on the earth, though, man. All right, the Lord's gonna allow the chaos to roam on the earth, man. They're telling you that they can't house these convicted criminals, man. They got to put them in police cells. Which the next step is gonna be what? Just let them roam free. Stick a monitor in their hand, a RF, a MOTB in them, and let them roam freely. We can monitor them that way. All right. This is Matthew 24:12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. And that's what's happening in today's society. The love of many, the society is cold because iniquity is abounded. It's iniquity is sin, basically. It's a lock here. Iniquity is sin, basically. And the Lord's, it says, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold, man. But he that shall endure until the end, the same shall be saved. And that's what we are trying to be delivered through these days. The brothers that believe, we want to be delivered in these days. All right. But iniquity is abounding, man. What's happened? Like the fact that the government that's are supposedly supposed to protect you, right? Which Esau is never gonna protect us. He's here to destroy us. But his government are telling you they're gonna just let these lunatics roam free, pretty much. There's no place to put them, and we've been saying that over the years. Man, they show you that in that Batman movie with Bane. You had the lunatics freed from the asylum, so to speak. You had all the criminals let loose, and we've been saying that. And the Lord's gonna allow these things to happen because it's the one last time for basically the wickedness to consume the planet. So the Lord's gonna use this as a time of judgment also upon people that don't 2/3 that don't have neglected His word and all that. Man, the Lord's gonna allow these crazy people to roam loose. So it says, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. All right. And that's what's happening. The love of many is waxing cold, man. No one, everyone just wants to do harm to each other, man. And that's the way the world is. So I'm going to read this here. This is 2nd Ezra 15. That's the way this society is, man. 2nd Ezra 6:15 and 14. But let me just go back to this article. And it says, we are seeing the consequences of these political decisions now with the announcement that the formal use of police cells will be used to extend the capacity of the prison estate. The use of police cells under these conditions is an exceptional measure, and our view should be reserved for unforeseen circumstances where no other option exists. We do not believe the circumstances that seize this announcement are unforeseen, and we believe there are other options open to government. I mean, that's pretty much it on it, pretty much there's like they're saying, there's not enough space to basically house these convicted criminals, basically. All right. So anyway, I want to read this here. This is 2nd Ezra 15 and 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hand. Yeah, woe to the world and them destruction to this world, man. And them that dwell therein is who's? The people that are dwelling in this world, man. 2/3 of Israel, 2/3 of Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, Esau and the other nations. All right. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hand. And that's also gonna take place in society. Different people of different nationalities, standing up to fight against each other. All right. And even over here in the UK, a while back, there was like a protest of I believe they were Iranians or Assyrians. I think they were Assyrians. They were protesting for something that's going on in their country. They were protesting in central London, throwing bottles and all that, standing up, throwing bottles, going to protest by Parliament, basically, and they were making a massive scene. So that's, different nations of people standing up, man. And eventually those things will turn into what? People fighting against each other, basically. Iranians against Afghans, East Indians against, so-called white folks against so-called black folks. All right. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor their princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Yeah, there's going to be sedition among men, man. All right. And invading one another, meaning people's going to be raiding people's houses, killing each other. Murder's going to be increased. And what do you think is going to happen when they have these prisoners on the loose, man? And that's just not here too, because there's even articles of that in America where they're saying that they have in the prison, there's the prison populations over in America has also become too much for the government. So they've even let some people with so-called lesser convictions out, So I saw that over, I think that might have been I can't remember what state it was, but they had people with lesser convictions, less letting them out. So what do you think? They're doing the same thing here. They're saying there's not enough space to house them. You see? So for there shall be, and what do you think those dudes are going to do? All those kind of people know is to fucking rob and steal and hurt people, So for there shall, that's all they know, man. So for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Yeah, they're not going to regard. They already, these kind of these criminals, they already live lawless. But that's going to trickle into everyone. No one ain't going to regard the government anymore. It's going to get to that point. So when you get a society, an angry society, on top of that you got lunatics on the loose. You know, the so-called civilians, they're already lunatics in this kingdom anyway. Everyone just going to let loose, man. Their base instincts are going to come out in people. They're going to want to kill each other, steal from each other. All right? For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor their princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Yeah, you're going to desire... Cities are going to be blocked off. You're not going to be able to go from one place to another. And wherever the place you're at, there's going to be chaos happening there. All right? For because of a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Yeah, and because of what? Because of their pride, man. And that's the thing in this world. Pride is heavy in this world, man. So pride's heavy in people in this world, man. So the Lord's gonna use, lunatics like those, those criminals on the loose, the Esau's armies, Esau's police, Esau's Gurkha troops to humble people's pride in these cities, man, around the planet. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. All right. Yeah, men shall be afraid. So it ain't gonna matter in those days, man. It's not gonna matter if you know MMA skills, or you've got you know how to the Steven Seagal techniques. That's not gonna mean anything. All right. So it says a man shall have no pity. What's gonna mean something is that you be delivered by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai if you're an Israelite, because that's who can be delivered, the nation of Israel. That's what's gonna mean something. The carnal things ain't going to mean anything. Money ain't going to save you in those days. The strength in your flesh ain't going to save you in those days. So it says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Yeah, people are not going to have any pity upon each other, basically, in society. And it says, and shall spoil their goods. So they're going to be, like I said there earlier on, raiding each other's houses. What? Because of the lack of bread. For food, basically. For food. And it just said that in that article, it said that they ain't got the room to house these convicts, which are rapists, which are murderers. So that's all going to be increased. With these guys on the loose, that stuff's going to be on the increase. All right. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. All right. So I'm going to read this here, and I'm going to end it on this here. This is 2nd Ezra 9 and 2. It says, and I'll read from 9 and 1. It says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the Highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and... Salakia, where did I want it to... Okay, Salakia, I wanted to read it from 7, actually. 2nd Ezra 9 and 7. It says, and everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby he believed. And that's how we're going to escape in these days, when all this chaos is... Because what can you do when you've got all the... Like, for example, when Esau lets these lunatics out of the asylum, so to speak, the Arkham Asylum, what are you going to do in those days, man? Nothing physically can save you. So it says, and everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby ye have believed. So the only way we're going to be able to escape is by our faith. by our faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, so that we can be delivered, whereby ye have believed. And part of your faith is, doing the works, basically, pushing the word, Yeah, so it says, shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. It says, then shall they, because the ones that believe to be delivered are of the elect. That's already written. That's why it said, shall be preserved from the said perils, that all the hell that's about to take place, the elect are going to be preserved from it, and shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. So the Lord has had the elect, with him from the beginning. He's had them. The elect has been from the foundations, basically. So it says, then shall they be in pitiful case, which have now abused my ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments. And that's this word. Basically, the 2/3 that have rejected the word of the Lord, basically, they shall be in pitiful case, which have abused my ways. They didn't want to hear this truth. They rejected it. And there's no excuse, because the word's out throughout the four corners of the world. It's on the social media. You see it. It's on the YouTube. It's all over the YouTube. It's on the social media. So the word's out. It's like, but it's the truth about it, the Israelites is basically like popular, it's popular basically in the world. All right. And obviously the Lord's done that for a reason. He's flooded the internet to wake up his elect. So there's no way no so-called Negro, Latino, Native American can say they haven't heard this. So it says, then shall they be in pitiful case, which have now abused my ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments. For such as in their life have received benefits and have not known me, and they that have loathed my law while they had yet liberty, and when as yet place of repentance was open unto them, understood not, but despised it. The same must know it after death by pain. That's what it is. So the same must know it after death by pain. Meaning what? Meaning you despise the word, so you're going to have to die, man. You're going to have to get the judgment. And part of that is these gruesome, torments the Lord's going to bring to the world, man. The martial law troops, the lunatics out of the asylums, the criminals on the loose, murderers on the loose. You've seen what the UK government said. They're finding it hard to house them in these prisons, because they're going to have to use not prisons, the prisons. Now they're going to have to use police cells, they said, Salakia, They're going to house them they need help from police cells, basically. And eventually they'll just let them loose, man. They'll put the MOTB in them and let them loose. So it says, they that have loathed my law while they yet had liberty, and when as yet place of repentance was open unto them, understood not, but despised it. The same shall know it after death by pain, man. And that's the judgment of the Lord upon the 2/3, man. All right, for rejecting the truth. So that's what the days we're coming in. So that, the fact that Esau's doing that with the, mentioning that about the prisoners in his articles in the news, it just shows you the time we're in. We're in a very chaotic time, man, where all hell can break loose at any moment. And the only way you be delivered by that is by believing in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So with that, I'm going to say all praises unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to the Akim that are teaching this word. Shalom Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. Shalom, shalom.